Hi there, it's Riikka Kovasin here again with another post on the series of Mothers of Kalevala. Yesterday I made a piece inspired by Ilmatar, and today I'm drawing inspiration from Lemminkäisen äiti, the mother of Lemminkäinen. Like yesterday, if you want to read more about the character and my inspiration, please go to my blog. Something that's also in common with yesterday's project is the base I'm working on. Again, I'm using an old book cover to build my composition. But this time I'm using collaging as my way to break the blank page. For that I'm using soft body gel medium and pieces of old book paper. I'm just adhering the pieces of the book paper haphazardly across the book cover and secure them with the gel medium. After this layer is done, I then dry the project carefully. Next step is to add some color on top. For that I'm mixing 3 different mediums. First I'm adding some PaperArtsy Fresco Finish acrylic paint in the color of a gold rush to the piece, and then I mix some Izink ice. The colors are melted butter and whiskey frost. I'm going with kind of honey inspired tones, warm sunny yellows and oranges. As you can see, I just squeeze the colors on top and let them mix, so there's more opaque and more translucent layers in the background. Then I give the cover a quick dry before adding another layer on top. For that I'm using orange acrylic paint and the StencilGirl ATC Mixup stencil. After another quick dry, I then add a coat of clear gesso on top. This is because I'm working with an image transfer medium that's usually meant for paper, so I think I need something that absorbs some of the moisture. In the end, it shows that I'm at least correct. The image transfer works just fine, but I should have dried the layers a little bit more because I missed some of the image while peeling the paper off. I secure the picture in place with a couple of pieces of masking tape and then treat it using Pentart Express Transfer Solution. So you just put the paper face down and then apply the medium through the paper and use a spatula or a popsicle stick to rub the image transfer. It's really, again, easy and quick, so right down my alley. The only problem, like I said earlier, is that I should have dried the layers even further, because when peeling the paper off, I miss a little piece of the bug. But as there's so many layers coming on top anyway, it's fine, and we like it grungy. I then seal the image transfer by a layer of clear gesso. Then onwards and upwards and more layers. Again, I'm using 2 different stamps from the Eclectica3 series. The other one is Mini 45 and the other one is 16, a larger set. I'm using a brown ink for them both, keeping the color scheme really warm and earthy. Then it's time to add the texture on top. For this piece I'm using the flaky version of the texture pastes. I'm coloring it with Izink ice, melted butter and also PaperArtsy Fresco Finish acrylic paint color terracotta. This gives me a little of variation when I apply the paste to my piece. I'm going for kind of melting wax or melting honey effect and pulling the texture paste downwards from the bee. While the paste is still wet, I then adhere a piece of cardstock. I've die cut using a Sizzix die in it, and it's a hexagon shape, again inspired by the bee. What you can't see here is the next step, which is building the composition. I'm again using the heavy body gel medium as my adhesive and building the composition using different elements that I chose inspired by the theme. I then let the composition dry and then start coloring it. The first thing after the composition is dried, I'm adding some golden lines to the background. This is a gold colored paint marker I'm using. The white part again in the composition is done using light air drying clay, and the other elements are like just little found items and bits and bobs I have in my stash. To color the items, I'm using a golden wax, but also in a later stage adding some Izink dye sprayed Goldmine in the mix. It's easier to apply a fluid medium to this than the kind of rigid or only going to the tops of the composition style wax. I also use the dye spray to add some splashes into the mix because I like splashes. When I have the colors done and dried, I then took some actual beeswax and melted it into the composition. I wanted, because I had the wax, to add it in the project because it felt so right. I'm also using the wax to add here the word I chose for this piece later on. As a finishing touch to this piece, I continue the golden lines I only had on top of the bee to continue in the bottom part as well. These are inspired by a Finnish painting where they represent the strings of a lyre. I also added some touches of white wax on top because I felt that everything was too golden in the main composition and the little details were getting lost in all of that gold. As a finishing touch, I again choose a word from Journal Jargon 9 stamp set and adhere it to my project, this time using beeswax. For this project, I chose curator. To hear why I chose that word and also the story about the bee in this piece, please visit my blog. Here's the finished piece and some detailed shots. I'm hoping to see you again tomorrow when I share the final piece of the trio. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!